One of the key considerations when buying waterfront property is whether or not you have the right to use that waterfront. Obviously, this is a pretty big deal because you don't want to be the one stuck buying that property and all of a sudden find out, hey, you have no access to that water. So when we talk about the right to use the water, what are we talking about? We're talking about riparian rights. It's basically a fancy way of saying those rights that are adjacent to the upland property. The upland property being the property that is adjacent to that waterway. Now, when we say adjacent, it's very important to understand there cannot be a gap between that property that you're purchasing and the waterway. Now, when we say adjacent to or there not being a gap, the only way to confirm that is by a survey. Oftentimes, we see surveys that don't actually show whether or not that property is adjacent to or abutting the mean high water mark. Especially when buying waterfront property, the surveys and inspections are critically important and should not be taken lightly. Now that we've established you've got waterfront access, can you build a dock? Just because your neighbor has a dock doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to build that same or a similar type of dock on your property. And it's something that definitely needs some legal analysis. Just because a dock exists on the property doesn't always mean that everything is okay. Was that dock properly permitted? That's something that can be checked relatively easy with the experience of a real estate attorney. When was the home built? May seem like a silly question, but it actually has pretty significant legal consequences because it'll let us know, is the home non-conforming, is it illegal, or is everything to code? Obviously, these are some pretty significant and complicated legal questions that your trusted legal professional can help you with. If it was built before 1975, that means it was called pre-firm, or basically built before the flood insurance rate map was established. So what does this mean to you? Is there a seawall on the property? If so, we definitely want to make sure that we get an engineer report to make sure that the seawall was properly constructed and that it's not going to fall in the water in a couple of years from now. I'm Will McComb, and I hope you found this information helpful.